And we're back. And we just finished watching Remember the Night from 1939. It's an hour and 34 minutes. We saw this on the TCM app. Sadly, it's going away tonight. So
that's why we watched it.
That's why we watched it. But according to IMDb, it's also on the Plex. So if you are so inclined to watch it, definitely go check it out on the Plex.
I think it's just Plex.
Oh.
The Plex.
The Plex. So, yes, it's just Plex, right? I didn't dislike this movie, but it took a while to get into because you and I both fell asleep on the couch.
We sure did. I was in my nice, snugly warm robe, and the couch is just...
She's like the siren song of the
tranquilizer. And I'd just been out and about in the city, and I was tired, goddammit.
It's been a long day.
Yes.
We've been up for more than 12 hours now.
Mm-hmm. That's not really something that's an accomplishment. Most people do that every day.
I've been up since 6:45, and it is now, what? 11:21.
Oh, wow, it's that late.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. Yeah, it wasn't.
We would have finished this earlier because I think
we basically had to watch it twice because the first time we slept through the entire thing.
Yeah, well, I slept through more of it than you did, and then the second time we tried to watch it, I was sleeping again, and we had to go back.
Yeah.
And then the third time, I was like, "Let me sit up straight and get through this film," because we only have tonight to watch it. So we got in right before midnight, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And it's one of those films that kind of qualifies as a Christmas movie because Christmas takes place during it, even though it is not a Christmas
film. Right. So this is the story of a young DA, John Sargent, played by the lovely Fred MacMurray, who kind of maneuvers this trial to go, I guess, over so that...
Well, basically, the deal is that this woman has been arrested for shoplifting, and the trial is going to take place right before the holidays. And the DA's office knows that there isn't a jury that's in the world that's going to convict an attractive young woman right before the holidays. All the jury people, they just want to go home. They don't care. They're just going to acquit her. So they bring in Fred MacMurray, who has this sort of knack for getting convictions, especially on women, because he knows how to work the jury. He knows that he can't be mean to them because then the men on the jury get mad and whatever. And he also knows that right before the holidays is a very bad time because people are just a little bit more soft-hearted. So he basically maneuvers that so that the trial gets stayed until after the break, in which case Barbara Stanwyck's character,
Lee Leander,
the shoplifter, she would need to spend Christmas and New Year's in prison. So he feels kind of bad about that because of how he manipulated things. So he gets his friend, the bail bondsman or whatever the hell he is, Fat Mike. He's like, put up her bail and let her out. And Mike kind of misunderstands him and thinks that he wants to break her out so that Mike could basically drag her to Fred MacMurray's house
and have his way with her.
So he could, he basically have his way with her. But that wasn't Fred MacMurray's intent at all. He is like a honest, wholesome guy. And in his honest wholesomeness, he's like, well, at least I could do is take you out to dinner. They go out to dinner. They talk with each other. They realize they're both from roughly the same area, and Fred MacMurray was going home. So he's like, you know what? How about I drop you off at your house? I go to my mom after the holidays. I'll come back. I'll pick you up. We'll come back, do the trial. I'll put you in jail. She's like, oh, my God, that would be great. And as they go, basically they get to know each other, and you can see where this is going. This is a film from pre-1940. They're going to fall in love, and that's exactly what happens. They have a little bit of hijinks, some melodrama with Lee's mom, who's not really thrilled to see her.
No, she's super mean about it.
The wholesome life that she's exposed to, the wholesome life that she probably never knew she wanted, or definitely never had when she encounters what's Fred MacMurray's character's name?
John Sargent.
John Sargent. She sees John's life, his mom, his aunt, his goofy, whatever the hell that guy was. Willie on the farm or whatever. I don't even know if they had a farm or first. I don't even know what his mom did for a living. Yeah. But it's a lovely thing, and everybody's all welcomes her with open arms. It's just wonderful, and she basically spends from Christmas to New Year's with them in this town, and there's like, we're bobbing for apples, we're doing treasure hunts in the snow, and then at the end on New Year's Eve there's a giant barn dance, and everybody dresses up in their fanciest fancies, and it's a gay old time. And
then John and Lee realize they're in love with each other.
They realize they're in love with each other. Lee realizes that John's worked hard. He grew up dirt poor, studied at night, worked his way through law school, and basically now he's sort of in a position where he's obviously going to want to help her in the court case, but doing that really risks putting his career and his reputation on the line, because if he does that, if he blows this case, yeah, it's pretty obvious he did it because he's in love with her. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. This is, according to Ben Mankiewicz, our TCM host, the first time that Stanwyck and MacMurray worked together. Their second pairing is probably my favorite. It's the classic Double Indemnity, directed by Billy Wilder. This, though, was their first film together, and I mean, it's not winning any awards, but it was sweet and it was different, and I enjoyed it. It's only, I mean, on the TCM app, I think it said an hour and 26 minutes. On IMDb, it says an hour and 34. Not much of a difference, but still, it's like a little over an hour and a half, I guess. And just, It was like a sweet movie. You kind of felt bad for Lee. There's the scene where she goes home and she has the encounter with the mother, and her mother is just very unforgiving and very mean and cold to her. And you sort of develop empathy for Lee, and you kind of understand why she grew up, I guess, the way she did. She breaks down in the car and she tells MacMurray, or when they're leaving the place, she breaks down and she's like, she was always told that she was bad.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then the juxtaposition of going to John's house and seeing how the family reacts to him. He doesn't have a father, apparently. I guess he died when he was really young, but his mother, his aunt, and whoever the hell Willie is.
He can't be a cousin because the aunt never got married.
Right. So he might have just been some kid that they brought in who helps around the house.
Yeah.
Which is basically what he was doing in the beginning when you're introduced to him.
Maybe he was an uncle, maybe? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think he was just I think back then you could just get a kid off the street to come and just be your valet or whatever.
You could live in the barn.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you see the difference between the two. There is a lot of love in John's house. There's a lot of love.
Yeah,
there's a lot
very
of pride
generous,
and
very giving.
Yeah, I mean, they even made gifts for her.
Yeah,
and they hadn't expected her or anything. The mother sort of reprimands him, like, "Oh, you could have telegraphed and told me that you were bringing somebody." And then later on, when they're together, he sort of lets the cat out of the bag and it's like, "There's nothing here between me and her. She's actually a felon."
Yeah,
that I felt bad about.
I'm going to put her in jail
as soon as I get back
to New York. But I would say the one thing that I appreciate about this that it was also that's very prevalent is it's not love at first sight. The relationship is earned, and you definitely feel that because it takes place over
about
maybe
a week or so,
a week or two.
Yeah.
And they space it out. You could see that they're actually really getting to know each other. And they just have this sort of natural chemistry between the two of them. So that worked a lot. I would say the other thing that I found interesting is just, it is a strange plot. I mean, it's obviously kind of convoluted. It's nothing like this is ever going to happen where the DA is going to bail out the defendant and then take them on vacation. But it definitely sets up a very complicated situation between them because now they are in love, and clearly he doesn't want her to go to jail, and clearly she doesn't want his reputation ruined by him possibly botching a case on purpose. So that I found interesting, that this plot it had some nuances in there that gave the characters a lot to work with, rather than just I love you, I love you, I love you, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's also interesting. I mean, it's funny, for some reason I thought it was from the 40s, but it's from 1939, and it kind of felt like a hodgepodge of things, right? Sometimes it felt like a comedy, sometimes it felt like a drama.
Yeah,
I guess I just immediately assume it's noir when I see Barbara Stanwyck and Fred MacMurray, because of just the impact of Double Indemnity. And it's a black and white film, so that kind of feeds into that. But
there were some shady scenes, like the whole sequence where she sees her mom.
Yeah.
The lighting in that was just...
Yeah.
It was meant to be ominous. And they definitely conveyed that. And I don't know what kind of light they were casting the mother on, but she just looked evil.
And it was kind of weird. It's like, I mean, granted, she shouldn't have done what she did, the daughter, but for the mother to not be forgiving even after all of this time. And so you find out that at some point, I guess the Barbara Stanwyck character of Lee took money that the mother had sweated to collect for the church.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, part of church teachings is to be forgiving. So are you willing to cast aside your entire relationship with your daughter over...
They don't mean that.
Once again, the hypocrisy of people.
The whole forgiving thing is, it's just, nah. Yeah. Revenge is much better.
So that scene was kind of very dramatic and just kind of sad, because you sort of feel for her, and you kind of understand how she became who she became. She basically says in the beginning that this isn't her first time. She's very much a woman alone in the world, trying to just, I guess, get by, right? In the beginning, you see her steal this bracelet to basically pawn to, I guess, get money.
And she must be doing something right, because she's the best dressed
woman
shoplifter I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was like any kind of reality, the female
like
shoplifter would, she'd be dressed like a tramp, and she would look like a train wreck. Barbara Stanwyck is gorgeous, and she's like completely decked out in furs and little baubles on her chest, and a hat with little feathers sticking. Everything is just immaculate. Her hair is like perfectly styled with like the curls and the folds you see in those like 1940s style haircuts. I don't know what people were doing to their hair back then, but it was like they were like all sculptures. It's you could sort of see how Fred MacMurray was like, okay, I'll be nice to her. She's pretty.
Towards the end, when they have that, was it the kind of like they're bickering in the car when they're coming back, and she's like, or no, wait, it was before that. I think when they were walking
by Niagara Falls,
and she's like, or wait, maybe it was before that. Like now I don't remember. Where she said the thing about like, oh, why did you do it? And she's like, oh, here, I thought it was because of my legs.
Oh, yeah, when he's explaining, like, how the situation of, like, how he basically manipulated things to get the trial pushed after the holidays.
Right.
He's like, if we would have done this before, you would have gotten away. You wouldn't be going to, you wouldn't be going to jail. You'd be already acquitted.
Right.
And, but then again, if that had happened, they would have never gotten to know each other.
Right. What did you think of the film?
Like I said, I was impressed with the sort of the way the plot was developed.
It's definitely not a typical story.
It's not a typical story. There's a lot of sort of conflicts in there that make this love affair very troubled. In that, how are these people going to get together, and do they even get together? Because of the way the film ends, So that I appreciated, that I liked, and when I was awake, that I could enjoy. But seriously, the part of my brain that just wanted a nap is like saying is basically saying, man, fuck that movie.
I'm not gonna power through.
I'm not gonna listen to that part of my brain because that part of my brain is biased and unfair. So I would say this film is it's all right. It's not. I mean, I could see why this isn't the sort of film that many people have heard about,
or the go-to holiday classic,
like classic.
It's a Wonderful Life, or
anything really.
else.
So, but yeah, I would say it's okay. It's okay to good. So, are we giving numbers?
We can.
I would probably give this like a 6.5.
6.5. Okay, I was gonna say 6.5, 7. So I'm gonna go with 7. I think that the writing on it was decent. Really well done.
Good writing.
Fred MacMurray and Barbara Stanwyck have just great chemistry.
They do.
They really
you can see why they did so many movies
together. Yeah. I think Ben said that they did 4, but obviously Double Indemnity is the one that just
that's the classic.
That's the classic. But here it's such a sweet relationship, and they're both. I mean, he's handsome, she's beautiful. I totally believed their love affair and how it goes down. Beulah Bondi plays his mother. She's very loving and kind, but then towards the end, I don't think that she was mean or anything, but she basically told Lee, like...
Yeah, that was another thing I kind of appreciated, was like she was... Because like today, they would be so ham-fisted. They'd be like, you better not be messing with my son and ruining his future or anything like that. It was that kind of an argument coming from her, but she did it with such care and loving it, and coming from a point of view that was not a caricature. It was like, he really, I could see he loves you, and I could see that you love him.
Well, Stanwyck's argument was like, no, I'm just a case to him. But then she's like, but you love him. And she's like, yes, unfortunately, I do.
She knows. Yeah. And she also knows how her son feels.
Right.
And all she basically said was he worked really hard for this.
Right.
He sacrificed and worked really hard for this.
Right.
And she doesn't go so far as to say, and if he gets involved with you, you're gonna F this up.
Right.
She doesn't say that.
Right. But it's implied.
But Barbara Stanwyck, she knows.
Right.
And it's sort of like maybe in the moment, because prior to that, it was just like, hey, you want to come to my room and smoke a cigarette?
Is that what they call it?
Yeah. How do you play the piano with such big hands?
I know when she said that, I looked at you like, what is he saying about her son?
I thought that was the aunt giving that. Yeah.
Was it the
aunt? Auntie was like, check it out.
Yeah, Aunt was great because she was throwing those two together like
she was living vicariously through Barbara Stanwyck.
That scene was kind of sad where she gives her so that scene with the dress before the big dance. I'm glad that I was born in this day and age, because if I had to go through the mess of getting dressed, I would have killed myself.
The padding on the butt.
I mean, there were like 20 layers.
Yeah.
And that's not even the dress. It's like, this is ridiculous. The corset cover.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I mean, and even
what are you talking about?
Even though it's New Year's Eve and you're in a barn with like 100 other people. She probably was sweating like an animal on that thing.
And then my other favorite part of that scene was, I thought when she talks about the dress and how she never wore it, I thought that was sad. But the other funny part about that scene was when she's like, oh, what size waist are you? She's like 25, 26. And she goes, we thought 19 was big. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up.
Well, I mean, they also had the benefit that they were probably all starving to death.
Yes, exactly. They had a potato a day.
Yeah. It was like after his father died, we didn't have anything. And and you're a couple of basically older women and a half-wit I'm guessing what was a farm. I mean, are you guys tilling crops or something? I don't
think so.
It didn't look like they were farming. No. So what the hell did these people do for a living?
They didn't do anything. I think John just sent money home.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he basically supported them.
I guess so. Because the house was huge.
And it was well kept for a big house that only 3 people lived in. The aunt, the mother, and Willie.
And they all had their own bedrooms. So,
and John had his own bedroom, and Lee had her own bedroom when they.
Yeah. But anyway, was that a tangent we just went on? I don't even remember what we were talking
I
about.
mean, it's pertaining to. We were talking about the scene with the aunt and
the aunt
Lee.
in dress.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny. I thought it was funny when Fred MacMurray told her he was going to box her ears or whatever he said.
Yeah.
Violence against women.
Yeah. Back in the day, that was just good old traditional family values.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't. Again, this isn't as powerful as Double Indemnity, but I think Preston Sturges' script here is strong, and like you said, it's interesting because it's not something that you would associate with a movie from 1939, where I'm sure like the values police was working it overtime. The director of this film is Mitchell Leisen, again with writing credits to Preston Sturges. Yeah, I mean, it's tagged as comedy, drama, romance.
I think it's a bit light on the comedy.
I think it's also light on the comedy.
More on the
I think
drama
it's drama and romance side. Yeah, for sure.
There are some, I guess, humorous asides, but there's no straight comedy in this movie.
Not really. I think things are played for laughs, like the waste paper basket on fire and stuff like that. But
yeah, I think maybe just because it was like, oh, it's Preston Sturges, it's probably funny.
Right. And I think some of the scenes with like Rufus, the ballet, are supposed to be for laughs, but
are they? I mean, definitely not really now because he's such a stereotype.
Yeah, almost to the point where it's like a little cringy.
That's what I mean. Like nowadays, that's sort of cringy. That that sort of attitude, that sort of character. But back then,
it was
maybe
the norm.
Maybe that was the height of hilarity. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. So I mean, but still, all in all, like I thought it was a decent script. I thought the performances were stellar. It's not a long film, even though we had a stop-start several times.
Plus, I had just eaten right before it. I don't know what your excuse was.
I've been up since 6:45, and it is now almost midnight. Yeah.
All
Come
right,
on.
so
give me a break.
Got a good one.
Yeah. But, and I hadn't napped before that, like not even on my bus rides this afternoon or this morning.
Oh,
but,
really?
No, I was awake the whole day through.
Passed out on the bus hard.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to. But, okay, so what did you say? 6.5, 7. If you can find it, I think it's playing on the Plex. Unfortunately, it's going off the TCM app.
It'll
really.
Be back.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. But I'm sure there's other places. Maybe like if you go to like Canopy or Hoopla, like your local library, there's also we should do a movie off of those maybe.
Yeah,
I don't have Canopy,
resource
but I have
Hoopla. If you have a public library card.
Yes, absolutely.
Hook
take
up
advantage.
On Hoopla and take advantage because they have
everything.
They have a ton of stuff that you probably aren't even aware of, and it's
free
for streaming.
Yeah,
it's not you have to go there and rent it or anything.
Yeah. You can just do everything on your phone.
Comic books too.
Yeah, they have comic books. They have. You want to take out some Christmas tunes? You could do that. Some movies. Yeah. Definitely support your local libraries. They're such a wonderful resource. I've
underutilized resource.
Very underutilized.
And the more people underutilize it, the more danger it is that
it'll go away. Yeah. So please, yes, support your local libraries. Take out all the books and
bring them back.
What?
Bring them back.
Bring them back. Yeah. Yeah. It's sad, right? It's much like this film. It feels like from an era long gone by. I remember like we were talking with the kids like how when we were young. There's no Google. You had to go to the goddamn library and get your information from.
Look through those
Encyclopedia
old
Britannica.
Encyclopedias,
yeah, that were outdated by the time we were using them.
The copyright was like 1940.
52, or whenever the hell it was. Yeah.
It's like World War I, the greatest war ever, and the last war that we will ever fight.
Yes. But I mean, and again, like I guess this is definitely a film of the time. You like from the fashions to the grammar and just this, I guess the way people interacted with each other.
They had nice cars.
They did have nice cars, but yeah,
Anyway.
I really liked it. I really liked it. I would recommend it. You probably wouldn't, but
If it's on and there's nothing else to watch, you could watch this and not feel like you wasted your time.
yeah, it's
But
a short film.
I don't feel this is something that you'd probably ever want to seek out. I don't think this is like, oh my God, what the hell? I don't even remember the name of the movie. What's the movie called?
Remember the
Night. The title that makes no sense either.
You how could you forget? You were just going on a diatribe about how what the
Yeah.
hell was the point of that title?
What was the point of the title? Remember the Night. What night? There was many nights in that movie. Anyway. Yeah.
All right. So 6.5, 7. Definitely check out Remember the Night from. Whoops. I changed the page. 1939. Yes. Directed by William Leason with writing credits to Preston Sturges. Yeah. An hour and 34 minutes according to IMDb, although I think TCM said 126. Okay. And that's it from us. And we will bid you all a
Good night.
good night.